Hello, everybody, and welcome. So, we are here today to do a workshop. So, I would like to welcome everybody. My name is Chris Reyna, and I am here with a company called MakerMeet, and we do STEAM based workshops nationwide. And STEAM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. So we try and do some workshops like that, and we try and make them fun for all of you. So today, our workshop is going to be Let's Fly. And that really is going to be very simple. We're just going to make some paper airplanes. Now, you might wonder, in terms of STEAM and science and technology and engineering and arts and maths, how that ties into paper airplanes. Well, it ties in quite a lot, actually, and we probably won't go into too much of that at the moment. But certainly, in terms of what you're doing, you're going to be doing a lot of engineering. And behind that engineering is a lot of maths as well. Now, in terms of science, there would be a little bit of science, probably very little technology, maybe. And certainly, if you wanted to color and change your own paper airplanes afterwards, then that's where your art comes in. So we're here today on behalf, I need to tell you, of DLR, Dunleary Rathdown Libraries, and Cruinniú. And there's an awful lot of events happening nationwide, and there's even more events happening tomorrow nationwide. So if you go to Creative Ireland on the internet, then you will find out more information about Cruinniú. So, kind of without further ado, let's get started. So I would like to start by just kind of telling you the sort of materials that you're going to need. So very basic things. Everybody should have it. If you are in school, then you'll certainly have these materials. If you're at home, I expect you'll have them as well. We tend to not do workshops where too many specific materials are required. The first thing you're going to need is just some paper. So I have quite a pile of paper here. So just plain copier, A4 copier paper. You can use other paper. Certainly you can use colored paper and things like that. If you have a little bit of slightly heavier paper would be good. So for instance, I have here, so this paper is, you can kind of hear the difference. This paper is a little bit less floppy and a little bit heavier. It doesn't bend quite as easy as you can see there. So that's only for one paper airplane, which might be kind of the last one that we come to. So if you had a sheet of that, that would be very handy. But it isn't required. You don't need a heavier paper for it. You can use regular paper, there's no problem. So the only other things you're going to need are maybe a pair of scissors. So you might need a pair of scissors and just some sellotape. I have some sellotape here. And apart from that, that's it. If you have a ruler and a pencil, that's okay too. But honestly, you won't need most of those things. We're just going to do some folding and of different kinds of paper airplanes. So I have good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have about 6 that we can do. Now, we may not get through all 6 of those, and some of them are a little bit harder than others, and some are a little bit easier. So we'll start nice and easy, and then we'll work our way up. So I would be quite sure most of you have already folded a paper airplane of some type. So we're going to start at the beginning nonetheless. So clearly it's going to be quite difficult for me to show you how to fold if I have to hold up the paper, like that. So I have here over my head, I have a camera over my head. So probably a lot of what I will be doing will be using that camera over my head. So you can see down at my hands and the paper here at my desk, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I will explain as we go along. I'll try to go nice and slow. If there's any difficulties or there's any problems or I'm going too fast and you don't understand, on YouTube there's a chat function on the right hand side, and you can click in there and you can send me a message and I'll see it here. I have a screen set up in front of me here, so I'll see any chats that you put in there. So let me pop over to my other camera and let's start folding. So you just get a piece of paper, just one piece of paper, and we'll start with that. So let's go to here. Now here we are. So this is my overhead camera, and as you can see, we can move my mouse and my trackpad out of the way, and I have a plain piece of paper here. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. Now This paper, okay, as I said, is just regular printer paper, regular kind of copy paper, very floppy, pretty thin, okay, and that's good. That's what we want. All right, so I'm going to start with the most basic paper airplane that there is. And I'm sure that this is one that almost everybody has already made, but it's worth starting just so that we know where we're going with this, okay? So I'm generally going to try and keep my paper vertical like this in front of me, so you can do the same. And I'm going to try and fold it that way. But sometimes, from time to time, I might need to turn the paper like that because it's either easier to fold or it's for me to show you something. So just be aware of that, and I'll tell you when I'm going to do that. But for the moment, we'll just keep it upright. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one half of my paper and I'm just going to fold it over like that. Now, when you're folding paper airplanes, it's worth being careful that you don't fold it like that. So if you can see here how the two corners of the paper are not lining up. So it probably will make a difference really when you go to fly your paper airplane. The more carefully you fold it, the better your paper airplane will fly. Okay, so I'm going to move that corner back around to there, and then I'm going to make sure my corner down here also is lining up. And once I have those two lined up, I'm going to hold that with my left hand, and with my right hand, I'm going to push down here like that and put a little crease there, and you can kind of see here where there's a crease. And then I'm just going to run my finger nice and slowly up there, and then I'm going to run my finger down there. And that is called creasing. That's called creasing your paper. Okay, that's called creasing your paper. So as you move on and you start to become better at making paper airplanes, what you can do is you can do a really good crease, and that's just using your fingernail. Okay, so that's just using your fingernail to make a really good crease. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my fingernail here, and I'm going to push down, and you can see now that's made a really sharp crease, so that when I open this, it's actually, it doesn't even want to open anymore because I've made such a sharp crease straight down here. All right, so I am going to open it though, and we'll open it out a little bit like that. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take this top right-hand corner, and we're just going to fold that in to the middle. But again, and this is where, let me actually zoom in here a little bit. This will be a bit easier for you to see. So if you can see here, okay, this bit isn't all the way in. So just try to be a little bit precise if you can. Okay, and I'm going to, again, use my fingernail and crease all the way down like that. Okay, so now we're going to go to the top left-hand corner and do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to fold this down. I'm going to make sure I'm pretty good up here. And I'm going to crease that down like that. So you can probably see, and if you can't, I'll move that up a little bit. So you can probably see I've left just a couple of millimeters right here, just a couple of millimeters between. I didn't make an absolutely sharp point. And I did that purposely because, and we will do that through most of the airplanes, because for most of the airplanes that we make, we'll be doing lots of paper folding on top of one another. And I'm sure that you know the more times that you fold a piece of paper, the thicker the paper gets. So it's a good idea just to leave a little bit of space in the middle so that it doesn't become too thick and too chunky, and then it won't fly very well. Okay, so I will zoom back out, and that will make it a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, so now I'm going to fold over again. So I'm going to take this point here on the right hand side, okay, and I'm going to bring that in to here. Now I'm doing something as well, which you may not notice, but I want to point out to you because this will help you as well. So if I was just to pick this up and bring it in, okay, what might happen is this bit might slide in a little bit, and I don't want that to happen. I want that to stay right there. So I'm actually just going to hold that with my fingers here, and I'm going to pull that bit in until it gets nearly to the crease in the middle. And before I push down along here, I want to make sure up here at the top that that is going to be right, because that's going to be the bit that's going to allow the wind or the air to go over the nose of our airplane. So I'm going to do this just gently first to make sure that that looks okay. And that looks pretty good to me. If I look along here, I can see I have a millimeter or two of space. I don't have any paper peeking out or anything, so now I'll use my fingernail and just crease straight down there like that. Just like that, and we'll make a nose, and we're going to do exactly the same on this side. I'm going to hold my paper there. I'm going to grab this corner, and I'm just going to pull in a little bit. I'm going to make sure that that nose is okay. And these two points are going to meet right here as well. Okay, and I'll do a very gentle push first at the nose, then pull down a little bit, and check it. And that looks okay. I have a couple of millimeters of space in there, so that all looks good. So now I'm going to crease it very hard using my fingernail. There we go. Now, pardon me. So I can see I've got a little bit of paper creep here. I'll show you that, what's happened to me there, okay? So you can kind of see the paper has popped out here a little bit, but it's kind of okay for the moment. We don't have to be perfect about it, certainly, but we just have to be as careful as we can, really, because that will help us fly then afterwards. So I'm now going to turn my plane. It doesn't really matter which way you turn it. You can turn, I turned mine clockwise, but if you wish, you can certainly turn it counterclockwise, like that. It doesn't make any difference how you wish to turn it, okay? And then I'm going to fold this bit inwards. And you'll notice that I'm saying inwards because in some planes that we're going to make in a bit, we'll actually fold it the opposite way, outwards. So I folded that in half. I'm just going to crease that all down very nicely. And we're nearly there. So this is what it looks like now on both sides. And from the top, it doesn't look like very much except a single sheet of paper, and the bottom as well. Okay, so now you have an option. And again, this is just the most basic airplane that you can do. So you could fold from the nose all the way along here to make a wing, or you can fold from about up here to make a wing. So this is kind of why I have a pencil and a ruler here. So I'm going to just show you the folds that you could make. So that's one. So if you can see that, that's one fold right there. You could do that one, or you can do this one. So I'm going to start about there, and I'm going to come to about here somewhere. It doesn't really matter. And this is where your science comes in terms of STEAM, science, technology, because science is all about testing things. So you can either fold it right along here, or you can fold it along here. Okay, and you can try this, maybe not at the moment. Try one way now, and then later on, perhaps in the day. It is a Friday, and we're coming near to the end of the school term. So if you are in school, maybe you could ask extremely nicely to your teacher, and maybe they would let you fly some airplanes outside or even inside. The weather is nice where you are. So I'm going to turn that around. I think I'm going to go with this big long fold. This is the harder one to do because the paper is thicker here already. But I'm going to try and fold along that anyway. And the paper is quite thick here at the nose, but that's actually a really good thing. We want it to be thicker at the nose, mostly because when it's thicker at the nose, that makes it heavier, and that's what we want. We want that to be heavier. So I wonder, did I hit my line at all? It was pretty close. It was pretty close. A little bit off, but that's not too bad. So it doesn't really matter, the line. But what is important is that you do the same exact thing on the opposite side. So now I'm going to take my plane and flip it over. And I want to do exactly the same. So I want this point to match up with this point. And I want this fold here on the nose to match up on this side as well. And that's really important for when you're flying, because it just means that your plane will fly much better. So all of these things I'm telling you, they're not required, but they are just little tricks to help your plane fly. Now we'll crease that down. I'm all lined up there, so I can crease along there. Now, that's looking pretty good. So, what I might even do now that I have it is 2 fingers. I might pinch together and just crease all the way along there and down the bottom as well, just to make sure it's all together nicely. So now, if I open out my wings, I can see I have here on the inside a place to hold it. And my wings, if you can see there, they're kind of bent downwards. They're bent downwards. So I'm going to just pull those up a little bit. And they're only bent down because I creased it so well. But that's good, because that means the paper is folded very well now. And now I have my paper airplane and ready to fly. And that's what it looks like from the top. And that's what it looks like from the side. And that's what it looks like from the bottom. And of course, once you make your airplane, you can color them. Now, I'm going to probably suggest to you, for the moment, maybe take them home with you or color them later, just because we have a lot of planes that we want to get through. As I said, we may not even get through them all, but if we can get through as many as we can, that would be good. So you can either put that to one side and test it for later, or you can try a quick fly, go and grab it, and then come back and sit down. Now that's up to you, and more importantly, that might be up to your teacher whether you want to be able to fly your plane straight away. I know it's going to be hard to be patient, because it is when you have a plane in your hand you want to fly it. The other thing I would say to you as well is when you throw the plane, don't hold it back here. Okay, that's too wobbly. Okay, and don't hold it all the way up at the nose either, because that's going to kind of fall back like that, you see. So just about 1/3 of the way up the airplane here, if you hold it there. And when you throw it, okay, it's actually, just so you know, I'm going to kind of show, it's very hard to show you here, but I want to show you this. So this is the motion. So my arm comes out to here, and it's actually not the arm. So the arm doesn't do the work. The arm doesn't have to go and throw the plane. What should happen is your wrist should do all the work. So if you've ever thrown a frisbee or something like that, it's very like that. So it's really a flick. So it's going to look like this. And that's the motion that you want to try and throw. So it's just like darts. There's a game called darts, and it's very like that. So you're going to hold it, and that. And I just didn't let go there, and that. Okay? And that. So this time I'm gonna throw it, and it's gonna land all the way over there somewhere. I'm not even sure where. So I'm gonna throw it, and let's see. Oh, that wasn't too bad. So that flew very well for me. Now, I'm just going to pop over here and see if anybody has any questions. No, it doesn't look like anybody has any questions yet. All right, that's brilliant. So, now, I would say if pardon me, just having a drink of water there. So if if you've thrown your plane, then go and get it and bring it back to your desk and then have a seat again, because we're going to fold some more as well. And trust me, you're going to want to not spend all your time throwing them, because afterwards you can throw them as well. But I want to show you a couple of other different ones. I'll just show you a couple of them here, some interesting ones. So I have one here. This is a glider. So this is a glider. This is one, excuse me, called a lock bottom. Okay, and this is one. So this is called Suzanne, and this one is the world record plane. Well, this particular plane isn't. This is one that I folded, but the folding is the same as the world record holder for paper airplanes. So I'll just put those down there, and you can see how very different they are. Okay, you can see how very different they are. You can see this one, the nose on this doesn't have a nose really, does it? It's very wide. And this one is a little bit wider, and this one is quite pointy. And I will show you, one moment, where is it gone? Aha, here it is. So I'm going to show you this as well, except I'm not going to show it to you very quickly. Sorry, I'm not going to show it to you very slowly. I am going to show it to you very quickly, because it's just going to be a bit of fun. And this will be probably the last one we do, because I think you'll be very impressed by this one. So I'm going to bring this from this side over there in the camera. So I'm going to bring it by the camera very quickly, so you'll have to watch and just see what it's like. So this is one that you're going to make in a moment. Okay, that'd be the last one that we make, that kind of one. And that kind of a paper airplane is just called a hoop glider. That's a hoop glider. Okay, so let's put some of these away for the moment. And actually, let's concentrate on this glider here, the stealth glider. So I move that out of the way. So if you want, go ahead, have a seat if you have collected your airplane, and get another sheet of paper and put it down in front of you. Okay, now here we go for the second plane. So this fold is a little bit more complicated, so you'll just have to pay attention, and again, I'll go slowly. So we're going to start this time. Okay, we're not going to fold it in half like we did before. We're going to take this corner and we're going to fold it all the way down to here. Okay, so we're going to pull that corner all the way over, and again, before you crease it down, and we can see my corner wouldn't be great there. It's not pointed enough. So we just have to adjust that a little bit. There we go. I think that's probably better. I adjust it a little bit more. There we go. And I'll crease there first. And then I can run my finger all the way down here and crease that. Okay, so that's what your first fold should look like. And I'll crease all the way along there. All right, I'll crease all the way along there. Now, okay, the next thing you're going to do is open that back up. Okay, so just open that back up, and you can see we have one fold from here down to here. So we're going to do exactly the same for the other side over here. We're going to take this corner and we're going to bring it down to where we folded right here. You can see what that is right there, this fold here. Okay, so let's bring it straight down to there. Just before we do it, let's check the top corner, and that looks pretty good. And I run it to there, and once again, I'll run my finger all the way along here. And as you can see, I'm holding that paper down because that's exactly where I want it. Okay, so this is all about using both hands. It's good to be ambidextrous. Okay, so we're going to open that back up, and now you see what we have here. So we have kind of an X here, as you can see in your paper. And these folds here on the inside are called valley folds because they're on the inside like a valley. And if I were to turn my paper over, you don't have to do this, but if I turn my paper over, you can see it sits up a little bit. It's probably hard to see that it sits up here, but it does. And these are called mountain folds. Okay, so we have mountain and valley folds. So I turn my paper back over. Now, we have an X here. So now, what you're going to do, and this is going to be a bit funny, okay? So I want you to grab the paper here, and this is what you're going to do. So you can see the tip here and where it's folded to here, and the same on the other side. Up here, the tip and the point, down to here. So just about somewhere in the middle, I want you to grab both of those, and you're going to bring it together like this. And the paper will fold naturally here because that's where you folded it, and it'll fold naturally here because that's where you folded it. So when I bring those together, you can see already what's kind of happening. That's kind of strange, isn't it? Can you see that? Okay, so I'll hold it like that so you can see what's happening. All right. So I'll just show you that again because that's a bit strange and it feels a bit weird. Okay, so you're going to kind of grab in the middle and pull to the middle like that. Okay, and pull to the middle. And again, these folds are already there. So the next thing you're going to do is there's also a fold here. Oops, you can't really see that. Sorry, there's a fold here and there's a fold coming up here. And you're going to grab this middle bit right here, this middle bit, and you're going to pull down. And when you do that, you can see what's happening? Right there, it's making that into a natural point. Okay, so it's making that to a natural point. And this corner, turn that a little bit so you can see, this corner is going to come to here. And this corner is going to come match up to here. Okay, so we'll pull that down. And I know this is a bit of a strange fold, isn't it? And now once it's there, you can push down in the middle and crease that down like that. Okay, so that is what your paper should look like. So let's just zoom in a little bit there so you can see what that looks like. So that is what your paper should look like now. Okay, so that's what your paper should look like. So I'm going to kind of go back here, right back to where we were before, and I'm just going to show you, I want to pull those in so that this comes down and makes a point just like that. Okay, so that is what your paper should look like now. All right, now here is a point. Okay, so that's a point there. Now I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to bring this point up to here. So just that point. I'm going to leave this bottom bit here. I'm bringing just this point up to the top here. And again, I would say leave yourself about 1 millimeter or 2 in the middle. Don't bring it straight up to the top. Leave yourself about 1 millimeter or 2, because in this instance, we're going to have a lot of paper that's going to be folded over. Okay, so once you get that up there, crease that there. Okay, so crease that, and you can make a nice crease using your fingernails there, just like that. And we're going to do exactly the same for the other side. So over here, we're going to lift this one up, just like that, and we're going to bring it up here to the top. And I would be conscious at this point, because this is a very different plane, I think, than you may have ever made before. So I would just be a little bit conscious that at this point it might be getting a little bit confusing, but trust me, you're going to like it. I think it will be worth it at the end if you stick with me, right? So this is kind of what it looks like now. Okay, and I know that looks quite odd, but those two pieces are just going to go up there now. Okay, so those are going to go up there. Now we're not done yet. Okay, we're not quite done yet. So we have another point right here, and of course the same on the other side here. So this point, I want you to fold in to here. So this point is going to fold in. And in this case, I'm going to turn my plane. I'm going to take my whole plane because it's going to be easier for me to fold this, and I think easier for you too, if you turn it this way first. Again, it doesn't matter which side you do because we're going to do the same on both sides. It's even. But I'm going to take that point and I'm going to fold it over to this line right here, to that line right there. Okay. So I'm going to fold that to there, and the paper is quite thick right in here now. So that's going to require a lot of pushing down on that paper to try and get it to stay, just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it the other way. That's back to the beginning, and we'll turn it again this way. And we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So we're going to take this tip and fold it in. Okay, so we're going to take that tip and it's going to fold in just like that. And once again, lots of paper there, so we'll try and push that down really hard. Okay, and push that down really hard. Okay, now I'm going to turn that back so you can have a look. Okay, so we've done a lot of folding here, haven't we? And we have kind of a pocket here now, don't we, on the inside. And that's all right. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. So we have all these folds here. And now this is becoming really, really thick here. But that's all right. Don't worry. Don't worry too much. Now, we're nearly there. Okay. So I want you to take this tip here, and we're going to fold that tip all the way down to here. Okay, so we're actually going to fold this all the way over, and the paper is very thick here. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's going to be a difficult fold, but we're going to fold that all the way down. Okay, until like that. Sorry, my apologies. I have told you to fold it all the way down to here, and that was incorrect. How foolish of me. That was incorrect. I'm sorry. I only want you to fold this bit here. So let me open that up. My apologies for that. I get confused sometimes. So the line right across here. So that line, you're just going to fold that nose down like that. That's much better now, I think. Yes, that's much better. Okay. So now this is what it should look like. So in case I've confused you a moment ago, okay, you're just going to fold that down to here. So it looks like that. Okay, so it looks like that. Now we have to do a tricky thing. Okay, so we have to do a tricky thing now. Okay, so open that back up just for a moment, because now we have it folded, so it's okay. Just open it up. All right, and we're going to do something that's going to lock things into place. Okay, it's going to lock this paper into place. So if we just open it a little bit to see what we have. Okay, so we have these bits here. Turn that so you can see it. So we have these bits here that are kind of sticking out a little bit, don't we? All right, so we want this nose, because this is going to be the nose of the plane. If we look at it here, okay, we can see that the nose is kind of cut off. Okay, but it's not cut off with scissors. It's all just folded in here, and that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to turn my plane all the way around, and I'm going to hold it up a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do. Now, just here, okay, I'm going to hold this up here a little bit better so you can see. So this is where we are, like that. Now, I'm going to turn that around because it will be easier to see. Okay, I'm going to pull just that tip out, and you can see I have here a little bit, and I have here a little bit. And underneath of those, I have these two bits. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to take this little bit and tuck it into this pocket. So there's a little pocket there, and you're just going to tuck it in. So if you see here, I'll open it up with my finger there a little bit. There we go. So there's a little pocket right there, and you're going to tuck this little tip into there. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put it down on the table. I need a bit of support in order to do that. There we go. So we're now going to tuck that bit just into there. And I am conscious it's difficult because to see all the different camera angles and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to do one and then show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to show you what that looks like, and you'll be able to do it then. Okay, so I'll show you from this side first. So I've tucked that in there. Oh, that's a bit messy there, isn't it? There we go, that's fine. So yeah, I've tucked that in there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to take this bit here, that's pointed out, and there's a little pocket right there. And we're going to just tuck this point into this pocket. Okay. And I know at this point you're saying, oh, so complicated, so many things to fold and to put in one thing into another. But to get different airplanes to do different things, and of course you want to try and see which is the best for different things, to do different things. So some will fly very far, some will do tricks. They will all do very different types of things. They will all do very different types of things. Okay, so now, that one could probably be pushed in there a little bit further. That's all right. So, I've tucked those two pieces in here. This one here is a little bit messy, but that's quite all right. That won't make any difference, I don't think. And so, I'm going to fold that over like that on top of those two pieces, okay, that we've just locked together. Now, I'm going to turn this back around to the very beginning where we started, and we are nearly there, I do promise you. We're nearly there with this one, okay? And so, if you remember, I said on the other one that we folded to the inside just before we made the wings and everything. In this case, we're not going to do that. We're going to fold it to the outside. So, we are not going to fold the paper in like this. We're going to go the other way out. So I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to turn it over. So all I see in front of me is just the flat airplane. I don't see any folds or anything. Okay, no folds or anything. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the wing here, and I'm going to fold it up to here. Okay, and just like that. And now you can see here, these are all the folds we just did. Okay, so these are all the folds we just did. I'll do a little turn of the plane, make it easier. And again, there's lots and lots of paper there that's been folded together. And now you're going to wonder why all that paper should be folded together and why all of that is so important. And we'll turn that over just to have a look, and you will see in just a moment. Okay, so that is 99% there. We only have to do one more thing, and that is make our wings. And the wings are just a straight fold along there. So what I'll do is I'll just draw it so that you can see. And it doesn't have to be too perfect, just about maybe 3, 4, 5 centimeters down. Okay, so just a straight fold right along there. Okay, so you can see that's about 1/3 of the way down. That would be 2/3, and that would be 3/3. Okay, so we're going to fold along there. And this is a glider. So the purpose of this airplane is to go very far and very gently, but it won't do any tricks. It will just fly, but it will fly very far. So from here, I'm going to turn my plane over, and I'm just going to fold again on this side, like that. Okay, and I'm a little bit off there. You can see here I'm a little bit off, but I think it'll be okay. And go up into here, and we'll pull up the wings again. So in this case, the wings should look like that. And even those out just a little bit. So the wings should be about horizontal, like that. And if I turn it the other way, because we have so much paper here, this paper airplane naturally opens up. But that's perfect. That is exactly what we want. We want it to open up. And in fact, if you hold it by the wings here, as I'm doing, you can feel how heavy that is. It's quite heavy, actually. And now, this is the same way. And this looks funny because it looks very rectangular or square almost. And it really looks like it's not going to fly. But I promise you, it will. So, if you want to take this and try this, because you put a lot of effort into doing this one, so I think maybe you should be allowed to try this one and see what happens. So again, not up at the nose necessarily to throw it, and certainly not at the back because it's too heavy, but just about a third of the way, just about there. And a nice gentle flick of the wrist as well too. Okay, you don't want to throw it really hard in this case. So I'm going to throw mine, and let's see what happens. Excellent. Well, now that went further than the other one for me. So that went much further than the other one for me. So go ahead and throw yours just for a moment. And then I think what we'll do is we might come back and we'll make the last one. So I'm going to let you just throw that for a minute. Okay. I'm going to actually grab a drink of water and we'll come right back. And for this one, you will need kind of some sellotape and some scissors and, as I said, heavier paper if you have it, and a straw as well. You'll need a straw for this one as well. So I will be right back, and go ahead and try throwing your planes and then fetch them again and have a seat. And then we'll do one more paper airplane as well. Okay, so we'll be right back now. Okay, well, I hope you have all managed to have a good throw of your airplane and you have collected them again. So let's get back to making the last bit. Now I'm going to push that sellotape out of the way and do this. And what we'll do is we'll zoom back out here a little bit. Now, so for this one, this is a very funny thing. And so this is another glider. And this is going to be very surprising for you. You'll be very possibly pleased to know after the last glider that this one doesn't require any folding at all. None. So this, I think, is one of the more impressive pieces of engineering that there is. So this airplane is going to just be made with paper and a straw. Now, if you want to grab a piece of paper and some scissors and tape, let's get started with this one. Now, for this, all you're going to need to do is just cut a few strips. Okay, so I'll put that to one side, and again I'm going to use this paper. So this is a little bit heavier. A little bit heavier paper would be useful, but again it really isn't all that important that you do that. So again, I'm going to draw this out, but you don't have to do this bit. You really don't have to do this bit. So this is kind of where mathematics comes into play for our STEAM workshop. And in this instance, this is all about ratios. So this is about ratios. So this is about a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you happen to ever do any baking or cooking, more baking than cooking, baking is all about ratios. It doesn't matter how many biscuits or cakes or anything that you want to make, but provided the ratio is the same, it will always work out. But this instance, it's the same thing. So I'm going to mark out roughly, let's just say here, if I put my ruler just here, I'm going to mark out roughly, it doesn't really matter, maybe around 13 centimeters to there. So from my edge to here is about 13. And then I need maybe 2.5. But I know that I need 3 2.5s. So if you can add up there very quickly what 3 2.5s are, then you can mark that out as well. I know what 3 2.5s are, which are what? 7.5. That's right. Okay. So I'm going to mark that to there, and then quickly, roughly, I suppose we'll mark it down to here. And again, this does not have to be perfect. It's only just to hope that it will work out a little bit better. So we'll do a 2.5 there, and a 5 there, and we'll do the same down here. So we'll do a 2.5 and a 5. And again, I promise you, if you didn't mark any of this and just cut it, then it would still work out. It really would. Okay, so I've marked that out. So I'm quickly and quite messily just going to cut this out. And this is the one, this is the paper airplane that I promise you will want to take out into the yard. So this is not actually, ironically, the paper airplane that can fly the furthest, but it is the paper airplane that will fly every time. And that's the amazing bit, actually. With almost no effort, this one will fly. Now, okay, so I have my 3 bits of paper there that are all the same size, and that's okay. I have a straw here, and this is the only bit I need except for this sellotape. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take one piece, okay, and I'm going to make a circle out of it, like that. That's all, nothing more. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of sellotape, and I'm going to put it across that to hold it together. Just like that, that's it. That's my first bit. Now the second bit is I'm going to take 2 of these and put them together. So this, as you can see, is going to be my 2-to-1 ratio. So now I have double the size of my first piece. And all I'm going to do is make a circle out of my double size. Just like this. And a bit of sellotape just to hold that together as well. So now I have a small circle and I have a big circle. Okay, that's all I need. So something like that is a small circle and a big circle, and that's all you're going to need. So the next bit is I'm just going to turn my circle that way. I'm going to turn this circle this way so that they're standing up, and you're going to take your straw. So if you take your straw, take another piece of sellotape. Okay, and this bit is not difficult, but it's a bit funny, so I suggest you do it this way. So take your straw, take your tape, and just put the tape, don't wrap it all the way around the straw, obviously, but just put it on the straw a little bit like that, if you can see that. Okay, so just a little bit like that, just so you don't want the tape to wrap all the way around, but just on the edge of the straw. And then you're going to tape that into the small circle. And I've put my tape a little bit too far, actually, so I'm going to pull that out to make it easier for me. Until, oh, my tape got stuck together. Drat. Okay, we throw that bit away, and we'll grab another bit of tape. There we go. And again, we'll put that on the straw. There we go. And put that in there like that, and tape it down. That's it. So all I've done here is I've just put it in, and I've just squashed the tape onto the end just like that. Okay, so you can see that. That's all I've done, and that's all it looks like there. It's just like that. So now I'm going to take my straw and I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to tape that as well. And this circle is bigger, so this will be easier to do. We can actually just hold that just like that together, and then I can grab a piece of tape, a small bit of tape, and just put it right in here. Okay, so you can see, just to hold that straw. Now it should be, and I'll tell you this before you do it, it should be even. So if I can adjust, yep, there you go. So it should be relatively even. So you don't want it like that. That would be incorrect. That won't work. So you want the bottom of the straw to be kind of at the bottom of the circle as well. Now, and I'm just going to push that sellotape down to hold it inside the circle, and that is it. So all the time that we spent on the other glider, now we've spent just a tiny bit of time on this glider. Now, you might look at this and say, well, this is crazy because that's not ever going to fly. And especially if you look at the weight. Look how much, if you hold it in your hand like that, and you just not let go totally, but just loosen your fingers, you'll see it kind of falls over like that, doesn't it? So if you set it up and just let go a little bit, it falls over. So you're going to wonder how that's going to fly. And this, again, is amazingly where mathematics come into play, because the mathematics and the physics of this are what work together to make this object fly, and it will. So I offer up to you, once again, you should try to fly this. And I'm going to fly this, and I just happen to know that when I throw this, this is going to go way down the other end of the room, and so I'll go and pick that up, and then I will come back. So if you have done this bit, then you also should try flying it. I'll just have a quick look and see there. No, we're good. We don't have anybody in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to throw this, and let's see how it goes for me, and then let's see how it goes for you. Off you go. Okay, wow. Yep, it's landed now. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm a good distance away now. So, yeah, I've picked it up, and I'm all the way over here. And I know you can't see me, but that's because we don't have a roving camera here. We only have a couple of cameras. So I will come back, and I will throw it back into frame. There we go. Okay. Now, I am back here, and that went quite far for me. So I would say in the room that I'm in here, this went probably somewhere about, maybe I'm 6 feet tall, so there was about 3 of me. This went about 15 feet. I think this went about 15 or 20 feet for me. So, be very interested to see how yours went. And once again, I'll bring the other one into frame now so we can put them side by side. So we have a black one on one side and a white one on the other. And you can see the difference. This is just made from paper. And you can even see that this paper is quite floppier. It's not quite as stiff, and doesn't hold its shape quite as well as that does. Okay, but that actually doesn't really matter, I promise. It really doesn't. So the regular paper will work even as a little bit heavier card will work as well. And you can see that this one is a little bit thicker, I made it, than this one. And that's because I just cut this one from hand. I didn't measure anything. I didn't do anything at all. I just cut them by hand. So they're a little bit different, but they're similar. They're similar in size and in shape. So I do apologize. We only got to make a few paper airplanes. We didn't get to the lock bottom one. So we didn't get to this one. And this one is more complicated again, actually. So as you can kind of see, I'll hold it up here and you can see this is similar to the other where that it folds this way. The only difference is there's also a couple of cuts up here, and this is one that does tricks. So this is one that does spins and things like that. And this is also one that works really well if you throw it not straight up, but up at an angle, and then it will come down and do a dip and a spin. And then there's this one as well, the Suzanne. And again, this is made by a gentleman called John Collins, who holds, I think he holds the record. I'm not sure. A lot of people think they hold the record for the longest ever. But certainly this has gone an incredible distance. And it looks very, very simple in terms. You'll notice that this one's folded to the outside as well. We have our folds on the outside rather than the inside here. Much like our, where has it gone to? Oh, yes, I threw it, of course, didn't I? So that's over there. One moment. Let me fetch that. That has gone. Ah, yes, here it is. So again, for these, you will notice that the folds for this one are all on the inside. Okay, and when we look here, there's no folds on the outside. Okay, but for these, there's no folds on the inside, but all the folds are on the outside. And that was also true. While I was over there, I grabbed our dart, our glider, and that was true for here. The folds are on the outside as well. So you can see that there's an advantage to putting the folds on the outside. And there's also an advantage to making all this paper here because it makes it heavier. The other thing you can also do just to test things, and I'll show you with this one, this is useful. So you can try, if you had a paper clip, putting a paper clip on the nose, because the nose is really what you want. So when you throw it, you actually want the nose to start to try and go down because it's heavy, because then the air hits here, comes up under the wings, which then makes it fly this way. Okay, and that's how it works, and that's how airplanes actually work. And then the other thing to make an airplane rise or to turn is at the end, or at the back of the plane, here, you could try just putting a little fold there, even on just one side, like that. So just a fold in one corner at the back, and see what happens. And I will tell you what I suspect will happen is your plane will corkscrew. So it will spin and spin and spin and spin like that. So then try to balance it by putting a fold on the opposite side as well, and see if that doesn't make it fly very differently as well. So I hold it there like that. Let's see there. Okay. So that brings us kind of to the end of our airplane workshop, and look at that, we've just spent an hour together, and in fact we have only gotten a couple made. So it does take time to fly your paper airplanes, but it takes more time to actually make them. So as I say, you can always take these home in any shape or form, color them, okay, color them up, and experiment. Experiment with them. Paper is a very cheap material to try and make things with. I think most people will have access to some paper. So you can try a lot of these things at home. In fact, let me pop back over here. So there you go. So I was just going to say, you can try lots of these things at home with different, just tweak little different things in it. So as we said for this one, okay, so just putting these little corners here, okay, that can make a big difference to how it flies. And that's quite similar to our lock bottom one, which we didn't make, but again, the same idea. It has these here. Okay, so they are what are often referred to as ailerons. And if you look at any commercial airplane, they all have these, and they move up and down like this to make the wings, or to push the air down to make the plane fly up, or when they go up to make the plane come down. Okay, so that's what you're actually making there. These are your ailerons. Those are ailerons, or what those are called. So thank you for joining me. I hope everything went well for you and you got to fly some things. I'll pop back over here and just have a look if anybody had any questions in the chat. No, I don't see anything. So, all right. Very good. Well, enjoy the day and try to get outside. If you can fly, sometimes the wind will stop us flying paper airplanes as well too. But do try to experiment with different types and things like that. And as always, you're more than welcome at any point in time. Please send us any questions you have. You can email us. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and lots of places like that. We'd love to see any pictures that you might have of your airplanes flying. Would be brilliant. So for me, I am Chris Reina with MakerMeet, and we are here for Dún Laoghaire Rathdown Libraries for Cruinniú 2021. And I always kind of sign off the same way, which is just a little thing that we say, which is we hope that you enjoy, we hope you engage and explore. So thank you very much and have a marvelous day. All the best. Bye-bye.